Hello, we Group 1 decided to work on two aspects of Waseda campus and its communication, chronologically, Foundation and Waseda Vision 150, which started in 2012. And we are specifically looking at these five topics: Okuma Memorial Auditorium, openness of Waseda, globalization, inclusion, and digitalization. Okay, first, I will talk about Okuma Memorial Auditorium, which has great meaning on Waseda campus and its communication. The auditorium was built after the death of Okuma, and people wanted to realize the founding spirit and ideals inherited from him in the form of an architecture. Before the auditorium was built, graduation was held in a tent, which can be seen in the picture. The auditorium was intentionally designed to look classical, like medieval Europe, at a time when concrete buildings were popular. However, although it appears to be constructed of brick, the structure is still framed reinforced concrete using the most advanced technology at the time. The design does not use the Romanesque style as it is, but is rather ingenious. Such enterprising spirit of a challenge, and originality created the Waseda style. Also, the ceiling was designed with sound reflection in mind so that it can be used also as theater. And by standing in slightly shifted position rather than the frontal one, the auditorium reduces the sense of oppression and makes it seem more natural and open. The university uses pictures of the auditorium for its website and booklet a lot. And by doing so, they are trying to make the auditorium a Waseda symbol. I conducted the research on what people think of when they come across with the word Waseda, and the results shows 13 out of 60 answered the auditorium. Though it is not the majority, I think Waseda successfully established the auditorium as symbol. And many important events have been taken place in the auditorium. In 1962, Robert Kennedy, brother of the former US President John F. Kennedy, delivered a speech at the auditorium. Pictures up left shows occupation of the Japan Revolutionary Communist League during the university conflict in 1969. These events strengthened its symbolic presence. From 2020, Waseda started giving out free background images of Waseda campus life, including 14 various images of the auditorium for backgrounds, which can be used in Zoom meetings so that students, staffs, and alumni can use them. I believe that they can feel that they are part of Waseda with loose belongingness and solidarity with the backgrounds. In short, Okuma Memorial Auditorium embodied the spirit of Okuma and messages that Waseda want to tell in its architecture, and Waseda successfully make it the strong symbol of the university.
Now I'd like to introduce the concept of openness, which Waseda University has cherished since its foundation. As an article on Waseda's homepage mentions, Waseda University has been open to everyone. Since its foundation, Waseda has been known for its openness to accepting not only upper-class students, but also accepting the children of peasants and commoners. On the contrary, for example, Keio University and many other universities at the time are known for accepting students from only high-class elite families. Such difference since the beginning of time has been nurturing a different atmosphere in each university. Here's a comparison in terms of fashion sense between Waseda and Keio students introduced in third-party media. As you can see from the pictures on the right side, the atmosphere of Waseda and Keio students is quite different. Waseda's atmosphere has often been described as working class or cornball. A book called Waseda University 100 Years Chronicle argues that such an atmosphere is attributed to the spirit of openness, which welcomes students of various social statuses. Whereas Keio University students have often been introduced with the word like sophisticated and wealthy. Such differences in public perception towards each university is reflected in how they are described in the third-party media. Regarding today's campus, this is a picture of Waseda University's symbol, the gateless gate. There is no gate on the Waseda campus, which visibly expressing the spirit of openness. In comparison, many universities have noble gateways, as you can see in the pictures. Additionally, there are transparent spaces in the recently designed buildings on the campus of Waseda University. This picture is a learning area in the Toyama campus. The transparency of the building seems to be indirectly expressing the openness spirit as well. Lastly, Okuma Garden also shows how open Waseda is. Waseda campus is generally open to everyone, but especially in the Okuma Garden, you can see many people besides Waseda students. This garden is even on the website of a travel company called TripAdvisor. You can see the picture on the left that visitors left positive comments about the experience they had in the Okuma Garden. To sum up, Waseda has been trying to communicate the spirit of openness through campus, and based on the real examples I introduced, it can be concluded that Waseda has been quite successful to do so, and seems authentic by being what it presents itself to be. Next, I'd like to talk about the concept globalization. In 2012, Waseda officially announced to promote globalization in a statement called Waseda Vision 150. I would like to introduce how the Waseda campus communicate the spirit of globalization from the three perspectives: architecture, science, and organization. Firstly, from the architecture perspective, the Waseda International House of Literature, constructed in 2021, is widely talked about by the university and by third parties. This library contains a Waseda graduate well-known author Haruki Murakami's books in various languages, which allows people from many different countries to enjoy the library. Third parties, however, communicate the hype by highlighting the founder of the library, Haruki Murakami, instead of the globalization aspect, which leads to the reality that many people are not aware of this building's global attitude. Having a look at media on the campus, we can aware that Waseda is trying to be friendly to the increasing foreign students by hanging English signs. Wherever you go on campus, if there is a Japanese sign, English will be followed. Furthermore, the map on the campus is similar to the ones of Tokyo Metro in a way that it visually communicates as described in the class. Waseda communicates a huge welcome to international students by the existing of an organization called International Communication Center, the ICC. This organization promotes interaction between international students and Japanese students. Besides the promotion of its existence through emails, current students of the organization utilize social media and increase exposure to a freshman welcome event. The logo is also visually appealing as well. As mentioned before, Waseda Vision 150 has a criterion of globalization, and a striking one is 100% of Japanese students studying abroad by 2032. The foundation of SILS and its policy of all study plan 1 students required to study abroad is the result of this policy. In conclusion, Waseda has done a great job at communicating globalization, while there are some spaces to be improved in the way of promotion to let people aware what they offer in the campus. However, Waseda has been authentic in this concept since it creates its own ideology of globalization through Waseda Vision 150, as well as architecture science organizations on the campus.
Next, we will be discussing inclusion. For this part, we will be branching out to various points through first focusing on the support that the Student Diversity Center provides. The Student Diversity Center is comprised of Intercultural Communication Center, Office for Students with Disabilities, and the Gender and Sexuality Center. The creation of these centers ties to Vision 1 in Waseda's Vision 150, specifically in regards to inclusion and variety, which quotes, students come to Waseda from all around the world to experience intellectual and cultural stimulation through interactions with their classmates and faculty members. First, let's discuss inclusion towards international students. As mentioned, Waseda has created ICC. However, we realized two issues that Waseda has regarding inclusion for global students, which can be seen in the next page. The first issue we saw in an interview we did with an international student from overseas spoke to us about the lack of diversity within the international community. They stated that although there is a great number of international students in Waseda, most of them tend to be coming from a specific group of countries, and this often marginalizes students coming from other groups of countries. They discussed that this characteristics makes it harder for foreign students to feel more familiar and comfortable with their new environment in Japan. The second issue is regarding the impact of the pandemic, which led to the lack of inclusion towards foreign students as well. Although students abroad needed more support in having a community in times like the pandemic, where they were not able to interact with the university by physically being there. As seen in this graph, the number of ICC events decreased to less than half of the number of events held in previous years due to the pandemic in 2020 and 2021. Next, I will talk about the way Waseda supports students with disabilities. The Office for Students with Disabilities officially opened in 2006. In 2014, the OSD branched out and opened the support department specifically for students with developmental disorders, which allowed the OSD to restructure into two departments for students with physical disabilities and for students with developmental disorders. This allowed Waseda to be more specific in providing the right service and support to each individual, allowing more inclusion. Services include help in everyday life, such as creating transcriptions for audio materials used in school, to training supporters of people with disabilities and opening free seminars, even for the public. We also thought about the usage of Braille blocks around the campus when we thought of ways a university can support students with disabilities. In this photo taken in Building 3, there are blocks within the infrastructure. However, we also realized that there is a lack of Braille blocks outside of buildings, which makes it hard for students with impaired vision to navigate around the open and wide campus. Lastly, we will discuss inclusion regarding gender and sexuality. The GS Center was created in 2017 and it's located Building 10. One impressive fact is that it was the first GS Center ever in Japan. It offers services such as counseling and community events that have open discussions. However, the location of the GS Center is hard to navigate, and it's not obvious. Campus location plays a large role in communication, and thus this shows a lack of communication in promoting the existence itself of the center. Furthermore, the way the doors are closed without any windows to see inside might make it hard for students to go in there. To conclude, Waseda has communicated its enthusiasm and activeness in supporting inclusion and diversity, especially through the creation of the Student Diversity Center. However, there is still space to improve in regards to communicating the existence itself of those support centers regarding promotion and location, providing more support outside of the support centers, and flexibly interacting and coping with issues such as the global pandemic. The next aspect we looked into is the idea of a digital transformation. What this essentially means in the case of university is to bring their systems and technology in line with what students expect and to enhance their experience as much as possible. This can include basic things such as internet, Wi-Fi, and a dedicated IT department, but also more advanced things such as cloud services, facilities, dedicated internet, group learning facilities, and more. The idea of a digital transformation can be connected to several parts of the Waseda mission and Waseda Vision 150. To start off with, we can look at Vision 2 and Waseda's second mission, which both focus on academic research. For academic research to be possible, an extensive database of knowledge is required, which is in most cases found at the library. Although most may have the image that a library is something old and traditional, Waseda has employed various tactics to bridge the gap between a traditional library and the digital world and attract the students with numerous services to be able to provide students with something above and beyond what an internet search can provide. The Waseda Library is a member of the Online Computer Library Center, which allows data to be shared with libraries around the world. It also provides an interlibrary loan service, which allows students to access information from partner universities not found at Waseda. For information found at the Waseda Library, students can contact the library through an online reference service requesting the information they would like to access and receive appropriate information and recommendations from the library staff. We spoke to a Waseda student who has been studying online since the COVID-19 outbreak about the campus experience. They mentioned that they spent a lot of time at the Central Library during their first year at Waseda and were very appreciative of the effort the library has put into online resources found through WINE, Waseda's search interface for the library. They said that the easy access helped them feel closer to the campus even while being so far away. The library aside, Waseda also offers a variety of facilities and services related to IT on campus. To help with any IT issues such as internet problems on campus or use of the Waseda Internet Moodle, the campus offers a consultation desk to help. Located in several different areas of the campus are automatic certificate issuing machines where students can issue transcripts, certificates, and the like by simply scanning their student ID. There are, however, two areas we found that Waseda's campus was lacking or behind in its digital transformation. Waseda, with its Vision 150, is promoting the idea of a reconstruction of the education system, and one way they do this is through new group learning spaces called W spaces. There are few of these spread throughout the main campus. However, they have a lack of IT equipment. Although they provide a good space for students to engage in collaboration and group work, they do not offer much extra besides other lounge areas or empty classrooms. On the other hand, we have the numerous computer rooms that students can use around the campus. These cover the basic IT needs for students, but are for individual use, and in most cases are rooms where it is encouraged to remain quiet. We can compare this to the Nishi Waseda campus and its group workspace, where we find an example of a mix of a group learning space that is well combined with IT equipment, such as monitors and projectors. To summarize and conclude, we have looked at the Waseda campus through the lens of the auditorium, openness, globalization, inclusion, and digital transformation. We reached a general positive conclusion. However, in some of the aspects, we found some areas where Waseda still had space for improvement. We did, on the other hand, find signs of progress, and we think Waseda's current policies with Vision 150 will see these improvements being introduced in the near future. And thank you for listening.